You meet someone and immediately feel drawn to them. They have not said anything particularly profound. They have not offered you anything valuable. Yet somehow you find yourself leaning in when they speak, hanging on their words, feeling energized by their presence. You tell yourself they are just naturally likable, but something deeper is happening. This person is using subtle psychological techniques that bypass your conscious awareness and speak directly to the parts of your brain that decide who to trust, follow, and admire. Charismatic people make you feel like you are the only person in the room when they speak to you. Charismatic people project positive emotions with such intensity that others cannot help but absorb them. Presence means being completely focused on the current moment and the person you are with. Power means appearing capable of making things happen. Warmth means seeming to care about the well-being of others, and someone demonstrates all three simultaneously. Your brain interprets them as someone worth following, trusting, and being around. Their enthusiasm becomes your enthusiasm. Their confidence becomes your confidence. Their energy becomes your energy. They include sensory information that makes stories feel real. They structure their stories with tension and resolution that keeps you engaged. Charismatic people have an uncanny ability to make everyone feel included, while also making each person feel special. They remember names and use them frequently. They find ways to highlight the contributions of others. They create inside jokes and shared references that make the group feel exclusive and bonded. Most importantly, they make you the hero of their stories by showing how their experiences relate to challenges you might face. The most effective approach is not to copy charismatic behaviors superficially, but to genuinely develop the qualities that make those behaviors authentic. Real presence, genuine interest in others, authentic confidence, sincere warmth. But now you understand what might be happening beneath the surface. You see the sophisticated psychological techniques that create the experience of charisma. You recognize the difference between genuine connection and strategic influence. The question is not whether you will encounter charismatic people. You will. The question is whether you will remain unconscious of how charisma works or become skilled at recognizing when your emotions are being expertly guided by someone who understands the hidden mechanisms of human influence. This happens unconsciously, making you feel better when you are around them without understanding why. The difference is not in the techniques being used. It is in the intention behind them and the outcomes they create. Think about the last time you were captivated by a speaker, teacher, or public figure. Understanding how charisma works does not make you immune to it. It is developing your own emotional intelligence and self-awareness. When you understand how your emotions can be influenced, you become better at distinguishing between authentic connection and manufactured intimacy. Nor should it. Charismatic people often use these techniques to create genuine connection and positive experiences for others. The key is recognizing when charisma is being used to serve your interests versus when it is being used to exploit them. Notice how they made you feel about yourself, not just about them. Charismatic people do not just talk about themselves in impressive ways. They make you feel impressed with yourself for understanding them, agreeing with them, or being chosen by them for attention. They achieve this through focused attention that most people never experience. They maintain eye contact longer than normal. They remember details from previous conversations. Instead, they acknowledge different perspectives while making you feel smart for considering multiple angles. They might say something like, "That is such an insightful point, and it makes me think about this from a completely different angle." They make you feel heard and intelligent, even when they ultimately guide you toward their preferred conclusion. They ask follow-up questions that show they were really listening. They share personal stories that make you feel like you know them better than you actually do. They reveal vulnerabilities that make them seem authentic and relatable, express emotions that mirror your own experiences. This creates a sense of connection that feels deep and meaningful, even when the relationship is actually quite superficial. This creates what psychologists call the spotlight effect in reverse. Instead of feeling watched and judged, you feel seen and valued. They are not just being themselves. They're orchestrating your emotional response with precision you do not even notice. Charisma is not a personality trait. It is a collection of learnable behaviors that create specific psychological effects in others. Charismatic people understand, either intuitively or through practice, how to make others feel special, understood, and important. They know how to create an emotional experience that feels personal and authentic, while actually being carefully engineered. The most powerful aspect of charisma is that it works below the level of conscious thought. You do not decide to find someone charismatic. Your brain makes that decision for you based on subtle cues you are not even aware of processing. What you are about to discover will change how you see every influential person you have ever encountered. Every leader who inspired you. Every speaker who captivated you. Every person who seemed to possess some magical quality that drew others to them. Because charisma is not magic, it is applied psychology. Understanding how it works does not diminish its power. It reveals the sophisticated influence system operating in every social interaction you have. Inside your brain, charisma triggers multiple psychological responses simultaneously. They also master the art of emotional contagion. Human beings automatically mirror the emotions of people around them through mirror neurons. Dr. Olivia Fox Cabane identified 3 core components that create the experience of charisma: presence, power, and warmth. But here's what makes charisma so psychologically compelling. Charismatic people create what researchers call artificial intimacy. This is happening to you more often than you realize. Consider how charismatic people handle disagreement. They do not argue or dismiss opposing viewpoints. Watch how charismatic individuals use storytelling. They do not just share information, they create emotional experiences through narrative. They use vivid details that help you visualize scenes. Notice how they handle social dynamics in groups. But here is the reframe that changes everything. Healthy charisma enhances relationships and creates mutual benefit. Manipulative charisma creates one-sided relationships where your emotions are being managed for someone else's advantage. You can also develop these skills yourself. Charisma is not something you are born with or without. It is something you can learn and practice. The strongest protection against manipulative charisma is not cynicism about all influential people.